All right, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wonderful people, lovers of freedom all over the world. Wherever you are joining us from today, you're highly welcome to this wonderful YouTube platform that gives you quality news and information on every activities happening in Biafran territory. This is Let's Talk TV, your one and only YouTube of the third channel. Now, let us go straight up to the issue because there are a lot of issues happening in Biafran land, trending, especially in Biafran land. And then we'll be going to Anambra State or Kija, Anambra State, over this issue that has actually been trending on social media. Not less than 12 persons have been confirmed dead in the incident that happened in Okija, where over 20 people were stampeded while they were dragging for food item. This is actually the first time in a very long while we'll be having this kind of issue, especially in Anambra State. In as much as there are so many philanthropies in Biafran land, so many philanthropies, and they do these things to support the needy and those who are actually poor. But the issue of the stampede, funny enough, is not only in Anambra it happened. It actually happened in some other parts of Zoological Republic of Nigeria. It happened in Abuja and in another state. Yeah, about 3 states, that experienced this level of stampede. That shows the level of poverty in the land. Despite the fact Nandi Gorina, flexing people. As I'm even talking to you, so many are coming back home, despite the propaganda of the insecurity, everybody carrying the propaganda, the Zoo media carrying propaganda, on insecurity. The reality is that Igbo people, Ndi Igbo, Biafrans are coming back home, to their ancestral land, to their homeland. No matter who you are, no matter how rich you are, Biafran land is always a land you want to come back to. Pachaye Gogi may travel, to different country. Pate Gogi, you want to come back home and at least relax and enjoy. And that is why so many Igbo people, first of all, invest in their land, build a comfortable home. That is why we're having so many mansions in Igbo land, because Igbo man, a typical Igbo man, will always find his way back home. And they try as much as possible to support these people, who are poor, who don't really have. But this year's event, turned out to be a very sad one because it has led to a lot of people being pied in this particular period. People who are meant to be celebrating, dragging for rice, and at the end, they lost their life. And this has always been the pattern of the zoo politicians. Continue to make them poor, impoverish them, so that they can control the masses. But I'm happy, at least out of 100% Biafrans, at least nothing less than 90% have actually decided, to go with Biafra, because Biafra is a better place. Biafra is hope. Biafra represents a lot of good things for Biafra. So I'm going to be dropping the video. The news was actually treated extensively. You see the causes, what led to this, in Biafran land. It is actually a very sad one. But watch the video and give your own input in the comment section. This is the so-called governor of Anambra State, who is busy fighting Biafra, who is busy fighting sit at home, instead of him, to help the people do the right thing, do the needful, to reduce this level of, stampede and, this level of buying and level of poverty, he's busy fighting Biafra. Watch this video and let us hear your own input on the comment section.
Or loss of lives resulting from negligence.
At least about 22 people have been killed in a stampede when they rushed to collect donations, including rice and vegetable oil and money, at an event in Okija town, the southeastern state of Anambra, that's in Nigeria, on Saturday. Our rice correspondent, Emeka Moye, tells us more.
This is not an exodus of people fleeing their community, but people who came to collect palliatives, including bags of rice, gallons of groundnut oil, and other condiments for the Christmas season. Grapes.
I was working somewhere when I received a phone call. One of my elder sister, not biological sister, but just like a family sister to me, that she died. This is the husband. This is the elder brother, and this is the wife, and even the lost his wife too.
The event, sponsored by Błáćķ, was organized to provide succor to people of the community during this Christmas season. Our witness accounts revealed that more than 15 lives were lost, while others sustained injuries in the stampede.
We came here this morning by 6. So I came here to work, like sharing of rice. I haven't gotten my uniform yet, and my wife came with me also. So unfortunately, they opened the gate. People started rushing inside. The next thing, they started sending people back again. While they are sending them back, the ones outside are pushing in. So the crowd was much. People were just falling off. How will I put it? Stepping on people's head and necks. At the end of the day, I managed and enter inside. On reaching inside, I saw my little baby crying. I have to carry my baby, rush my baby down home. The next thing, they called me that my younger sister is dead.
About 20 or plus people gave up here. So, and it's a sad incident, you know. So, and I don't just know what happened, but that's the way we saw it.
The latest events bring to a total of 3 stampedes reported in the past 1 week, following events in Ibadan which claimed at least 35 lives on Wednesday, and one at the Holy Trinity Church in Maitama, Abuja on Saturday. Emeka Moye, Arise News, Okija.
For updates on the stampede in Okija, we are now joined by our Arise correspondent in Anambra State, Emeka Moye. Emeka, please make sense of what has happened, this sad event in Anambra for us.
Well, good morning, Rufai. Good morning, Ayo. And for an update of the situation here in Anambra, where at least 20 persons were stampeded to death in Okija following the distribution of palliative to residents, indigents of the state, particularly that community, by a foundation known as Błáćķ Foundation. As of yesterday, on Saturday night per se, all the major stakeholders in the state have all issued press releases to that effect, starting from the state government as well as the police and also the organizers of the event, the Błáćķ Foundation. Now, their message focused around condolences and sympathies with the bereaved families, while also commiserating with those already taken to the hospital. Earlier on today, the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Obidike Woma, spoke regarding an update concerning the fate of those who have been hospitalized. He said for majority of those who were taken to the hospital immediately after the event, they have been discharged. Of course, he confirmed to us that most of them were taken to the Foundation Hospital. The owner, the managing director of the founder rather of Błáćķ Foundation runs an hospital. Perhaps, like he said, they were taken down there for treatment, and most of them, as of this morning, have been discharged. And what we also found that also, though the state government has not categorically stated whether they're going to be involved in compensation, but we understand also that those victims, the survivors, are going to be compensated. In what form, we do not specifically know. Now, what I can also tell you is that the state government or the organizers are not talking about if the people, the dead, will be given mass burial, but they are silent about that. As it stands now, the situation has returned to normal. The people have started their normal business and commercial activities, even though they're still in mourning mood. This is the situation here in Anambra State, following the stampede, which resulted in the death of over 20 persons.
Thank you very much, Emeka. Very quickly, the Obi Jackson Foundation say this is an annual rice-sharing event. They've done it in past years. I don't know if this is the first stampede they've had. What happened? What was different about this year's rice-sharing event?
Well, this is not the first time they've had it previous years, and what I will suspect, what we can assume perhaps might not being connected with the harsh economic condition a lot of Nigerians are going through. You know, when we got there, we found that the crowd there at the venue for the distribution of the palliative was massive, close to 20,000. And I guess the organizers didn't anticipate that kind of crowd. And so what they did were there were just two entry points, one entry. There were just two gates, one for entry and one for exit. They didn't open the other exit gate for people to come in. Either way, they only allowed the main entry point, which is the gate, the main gate, to be open. And before then, a lot of them had thronged into the venue as early as 7 a.m. waiting for the formal opening of the gate. And so when the gate was eventually opened, it was a deluge of passengers, people trooping in as though there was something else. But in the aftermath of what really happened thereafter, we saw a lot of people becoming casualties. And I also believe, too, that the number of security personnel that were deployed to that place were not sufficient enough. We didn't see much of police presence there. We only saw the presence of local vigilante group, the Anambra vigilante group there. And perhaps that explains why they couldn't manage the crowd, the surging crowd, during that unfortunate incident.
Thank you so much, Emeka, for that. So for an in-depth review of the current stampede happening around the country, especially in Anambra State, we'll have Dr. Law Mefo, Commissioner for Information in Anambra State, and Dr. Emmanuel Ojukwu, Provost Police Public Relations School, Abuja, a psychologist, security consultant, and former Commissioner of Police. We'll have both of them speak to us, but I think I understand we should have Dr. Emmanuel Ojukwu to, join us first, and we carry on as regards this. So, Dr. Emmanuel Ojukwu, a very sad day. Can you help us make sense of a foundation that will normally give palliatives to people every year, and all of a sudden this year witnessed an unusual surge level based on what the Obi Jackson Foundation is saying? Can you help us make sense of this?
Well, first is to sympathize with the bereaved families and to wish those who are hospitalized a quick recovery and return to safety. And again, the organizers to also sympathize with them. Perhaps what they planned was to put smiles on faces of people, but now we are having body bags. A season of celebration, people are mourning. It speaks to the fact that events of this nature are not minor events. From the narrative, they hold it every year. It's a major event that requires at least 6 months to plan. To plan it will involve all stakeholders. To plan it will require
an assessment of risks involved at a time such as this, having regard to the environment of hunger in the land and poverty, having regard to what is called the psychology of scarcity. From narrative your colleague gave, about 20,000 were asking for palliatives. How many bags of rice or other items, or how many packages has that company provided? For how many people have they made provisions? These things we factored in. It shows lack of preparation or inadequate preparation and not paying attention to the value that we ought to attach to lives. If proper things are done, we will not be carrying body bags in a state of mourning. Over 70 lives now, all across the nation, in 1 week. Our flag should be flying at half-mast, as a matter of fact.
Our flags should be flying at half-mast. It is a time for sober reflection and perhaps a day for national mourning. But the question on a lot of people's lips is, how can we prevent such incidents from happening? One incident in Ibadan is one too many, but then you have a succession of events across 3 locations: Ibadan, Abuja, Anambra, Okija in Anambra State. What are the lessons that we can learn from this incident, and how, very importantly, can we prevent these kinds of events from happening again? Then I really want to point out the psychology of scarcity you talked about, because I think that's something we need to touch on. Can you expand on that for us a bit? Because there's some people who just that mentality of lack would make them act in certain manners that perhaps even don't even need the food as much, but just that thought or psychology of scarcity, like you said, could lead to such incidents. I'd like you to please share on these things.
Oh, okay. Now, we're in a nation where we don't place much value on merit, where the justice don't get justice. People don't get what ought to come to them on account of maybe where they come from or some other factors. So materials meant for a particular community, a number of persons who are close to the powers that be will appropriate 3/4 of them and leave 1/4 for the rest. It makes it scarce. People hoard these materials. You and I are very much aware. Some time ago, during COVID-19 or whatever, there were palliatives to ease the problems caused by COVID-19. Some persons kept these things in their houses, making them scarce. So whenever such things are about to come out, there'll be the struggle for the survival of the fittest, knowing full well that what is available will be made even scarcer by those who are closest to it under prebendalism. So there's the psychology of even zero sum. The more of it somebody gets, the less is available to others. Now everybody wants to have a hand in the pie, have a bite of that cake that is scarce. By so doing, there will be the rush to even remove others and get there. In that rush, there will be stampede. People will die. And mark you, even as people are being stumbled upon, people are dying, people are still surging ahead to get that scarce resource because people are hungry. People who are hungry, they are also angry. So their temperament is not the best. They may not even listen to advice because they've seen a scarce resource which they think is vital to their survival for the day. And they'll go all out for it. That psychology makes for reactions, impulsive behavior, not minding whose ox is God.
All right, thank you. So I asked about lessons learned and what we can do better to prevent such occurrences.
Good man, I can hear you.
The first part of the question was lessons learned and how we can avoid such occurrences in the future. Dr. Juku. All right, okay. So I think we've lost connection with him, but Rufai, I was just showing you about this psychology of scarcity, and I'm glad that he brought that to the fore. We have a problem on our hands. Yes. It's not just the fact that people are poor. It is also shaping behavior. It is modifying behavior. In fact, if you look at it, the psychology of scarcity is a study of how people respond to having insufficient resources to meet their needs. It can impact a person's cognitive and emotional decision-making and can lead to a range of negative behaviors and emotions. So yes, people say that, oh, we're not orderly, and you know, people don't know how to queue, but it's from it's PTSD.
Yeah,
trauma.
It's from a place of lack.
Yeah.
And you're correct. Despite the fact that stampede and people died, you still had people bringing this out. Yes. So they were still more concerned about the food. And that's why you say, when the government was talking about, I don't believe in politicization, but we can't deny the fact that there's hunger and lack heightened under Tinubu's administration because of his policies. We cannot deny that fact. It is there. It is ravaging us in the face. It is looking at us. And that's why I look at the oil majors, trying as much as possible to cushion the effect by bringing petrol price down to about 930 naira per litre. Do you know how much that would be? Because I'm sure they too have seen that people are not forthcoming to buy the petrol over 1,000.
It's true.
People are not forthcoming because you put the petrol there at over 1,000. Who is going to be able to afford it? So I think also in this conversation is, now know why we can quickly remedy the psychology of lack. And I'll give you an instance, Ayo. You know, while I was doing my outreach,
that is all we have for you today on Let's Talk TV. Do not forget to share this video to as many groups and platforms as possible. And also continue to comment, continue to support us as we continue to give you all the trending issues and trending news happening in Biafran territory.